Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Wednesday. It's the 22nd day of March 2023. I hope you're all safe and healthy today, and I hope your family is safe and healthy, and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food and shelter and clothing, as well as health, are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, who, along with the first responders, are saving lives every day. Blessings upon those that pick up garbage to keep streets, sidewalks, parks, wrecks, buildings, environment clean and disease free. And those also that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover. The teenagers and children who are the unfortunate victims of child molestation and pedophilia. The people that are also victims of prostitution and child prostitution, pornography and child pornography, human trafficking and sex slavery. Double curses on all the perpetrators, double curses on all the profiteers, and double curses on those perverts that create this industry. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. There are nearly 600,000 men, women, and mostly children that are living on the streets of the United States of America trying to survive, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. There's a basketball game scheduled tonight. The New York Knicks are scheduled to play the Miami Heat tonight in Miami at 7:30. Now, the way this situation is looking right now, the Knicks, because Brooklyn, I saw the game last night, they lost last night. A very tough game they played against Cleveland. Observed a few things. Number one, Cleveland's the real deal. And of course, Donovan Mitchell was the exact piece that they needed to fit next to Garland. I also noticed watching Cleveland, Isaac Okoro, who was the fourth overall pick that year that he was drafted, who was drafted for his defense, plays the exact same role offensively for Cleveland that Quentin Grimes plays for the Knicks. So they ended up putting Okoro on Bridges, who was the best offensive player for Brooklyn. And he would get open looks and he would miss his open looks. The difference is Okoro is not as polished offensively. I think this is his third season, as Grimes is right now in his second season. Grimes is going to be the better offensive player. Okoro is more powerful and explosive physically, but he plays the same role as Grimes, and I thought that was very interesting. And Mikal Bridges is the real deal. I mean, this is not. He is coming into his own right now. I could see Brooklyn continuing to build around him. Nick Claxton, also young player, very high upside. It was a really good game. Cleveland beat them because Cleveland's just a better team. Sometimes, like I said, on any given night, any team could be any team. It's the league. Everybody's good. So on any given night, any team could be any team. But in a 7-game series, the best team wins. And sometimes you could see that in a game, like during the course of a regular season game like this one. Cleveland was just the better team. They got better defense. And not to say Brooklyn doesn't play defense, they do. But Cleveland is more polished. The continuity that they have in playing together. See, they added Donovan Mitchell, but the rest of the guys, the Garlands, the Jared Allens, the Evan Mobleys, these guys played together now for 2 or 3 seasons, so they know each other. Continuity is very important, and that's why, like with regard to the Knicks, you don't want to make many drastic. Some people are calling for RJ to be traded, and some other. You don't want to make drastic changes to a good team, to a team that's building. Okay, you want to tweak it. Cleveland was ready for that tweak with Donovan Mitchell. You add Donovan Mitchell to all of the guys they already had, and you got something, okay? The Knicks are in that position right now to add a player, like whether it be a KP or a Jeremy Grant or a Mikal Bridges, which I can write off now because that's not going to happen. But you're talking about adding a key piece to get you over the top. Donovan Mitchell is not a superstar, but he is a star, a bright star that can get a team like Cleveland over the top. So, that was a good game. But the key thing about them beating Brooklyn last night was that the Knicks maintained 2.5 game lead on Brooklyn for the fifth seed. The Knicks are in the fifth seed. The Knicks maintain a solid 3-game lead over Miami. This is why tonight's game is extremely important. If the Knicks could win tonight, and we're going to talk about how that might happen. If they could win tonight in Miami, okay, they would pick up a full game on Miami and pretty much for now bury Miami in the seventh seed. Okay. And that's what you want to do if you can. Miami's 2.5 games up on Atlanta, who's the 8th seed. Okay. And 3.5 games up on Toronto, who's the 9th seed. So Miami would be solidly in the 7th seed, and the Knicks would be solidly in the 5th seed. And so this is an important game tonight. After every loss, it does get a little frustrating, I do admit, but I also have to admit it's part of being a fan of a team. It gets a little frustrating when people go off the deep end on things over a loss. In any given night, any of the 30 NBA teams could beat any other of the 30 NBA teams. No team goes 82-0. Okay? We need to, it would be nice if a lot of people understood that. Teams lose games. Secondly, there is no such thing as a perfect NBA team. The best NBA teams have, talent, continuity, game plan, right? They do have all that. But every NBA team has weaknesses. All of them do. Okay? And so the key thing with the better NBA teams, the top-notch teams, is they learn to hide their weaknesses and exploit the weaknesses of their opponent on a consistent basis. The Knicks are now learning to do that. Okay? In year 3, they're learning to do that. They haven't gotten there yet. That's why the championship window is not open yet. But they're learning, and they're rapidly learning to do that. And part of the learning is having the same coach, the same team in terms of its core that you started with 3 years ago. Okay, so you're now developing your RJs, your IQs. Your Randall is now becoming up in his prime. You're developing your Mitchell Robinson at age 24. This is what you're doing to get yourself to become a top tier team. Now, tonight against Miami, Miami has weaknesses. So what the Knicks want to do, and which they're going to try to do, is they're going to try. One of the weaknesses of Miami is they're a poor three-point shooting team, even though they have a Tyler Hero and the Duncan Robinson. Outside of that, and then they got Max Strus. They generally are a poor three-point shooting team. So you want certain guys to shoot three. You want Bam Adebayo, for example, shooting threes. Okay, Kyle Lowry is past his prime right now. He can become dangerous in spurts. He's at that part of his career where in spurts he can be the Kyle Lowry of old, but not over a 48-minute game. And he can't play 48 minutes anyway. So you want Kyle Lowry to guard, or you want to switch up so you can get Kyle Lowry on Jalen Brunson. Okay? Because Brunson, he can't guard Jalen Brunson. And Brunson could guard him. Brunson, that's one of the few players, I'm very confident, Brunson can guard Kyle Lowry. Okay, so you want that. So offensively, the Miami Heat are going to try to switch Brunson onto, somebody like a Tyler Hero or a Jimmy Butler, where he can be exploited. Whereas the Knicks want to switch Kyle Lowry onto Brunson, where he can be exploited. That's part of the chess, very small part of the chess match that goes on every night in the NBA, which what to me makes NBA basketball one of my favorite sports to watch because of even the subplots of things like that. So tonight, the Knicks are going to have to try to put bodies, because Miami is a very strong rebounding team, as you would expect. It's similar to the Knicks, your defensive-oriented rebounding team. And so they're going to have to put a body on Bam Adebayo. What makes Bam Adebayo special is his ability to handle the basketball. He can actually initiate the offense. You see, you have pieces of players where if you put all those pieces together in terms of 5 spot, you have Joker. Because Joker can handle the ball. Adebayo can handle it like Joker. Adebayo can see the floor a little bit like Joker. He just can't shoot like Joker. Okay? Can't shoot like Joker. He can't pass exactly like Joker. See, but he has the ability to handle the rock and initiate the offense. That opens up things for the quicker players around him. So we're going to need Julius Randle to be on his game defensively today. We're going to really need that. We're going to need RJ Barrett. I'm pretty confident in RJ. One thing about RJ is he's young and he's getting better all the time. Playing in New York sucks for him because people are overly critical of their own players in New York. They overanalyze every time the guy blows his nose. They're overanalyzing Tom Thibodeau. It's ridiculous, but it's part of playing in New York. But actually, in real, RJ is improving all the time and he's trying to get better. Does he make stupid mistakes? Yes, he does. But he's still getting better all the time. And he seems to get hyped to play against the guy that is like, his older version in Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler's been on a tear recently, really carrying Miami on their back. The last win they had that I saw was against Detroit the other day, and they were losing that game, and Jimmy Butler took over in the fourth quarter with mid-range jump shots. It wasn't even three-point. It was mid-range jump shots. He was manipulating his way into the mid-range and then, of course, finishing at the rim. RJ has a very similar game. Okay, except Butler is way more polished right now because dude been in the league for like a decade, right? So he's way more polished right now. RJ's going to learn from him, but it's always a great matchup watching those two. So the key here is going to be for the Knicks to make the weaker Miami shooters shoot the basketball, guard against the really elite ones. They have like the heroes of the world. Have Brunson get switches onto a guy like Kyle Lowry, who, generally is a good, even for his height, good defensive player, but he's just not what he was. Brunson can take advantage of him. Keep a body on Bam Adebayo because he's active on the boards. He's also a great rim protector. So that's going to be a challenge for the Knicks. The Knicks, on the other hand, it'd be really nice if we can start knocking down some three-point shots. Again, we're just like Miami in that regard, but if they can knock down, if we can get Grimes involved, that would be tremendous. Now, a lot of people were saying, and I can't disagree, maybe they should have played Deuce when they wasn't playing no defense the other night. Maybe he should have put Deuce in the game and created a more defensive atmosphere. And it's not just Deuce, it's the combination, in my view, of Deuce, Grimes, and Mitchell Robinson, or Deuce Hart, Mitchell Robinson, or Deuce Hart, Grimes, Mitchell Robinson. That is your defensive unit. That will get you going defensively. And yes, I would have to agree, it would be nice for that to happen, but what people have to understand is we have a 9-man rotation, which means that Tom is not generally going to just switch up like that. Okay, he doesn't look at things in terms of minute by minute in the ball game. He looks in terms of 5 games, 10 games, 15 games. He looks at trends over a longer period. I know that's difficult for Knicks Nation, but that's how he does it. So why you don't see him make snap judgments to throw a guy like a Deuce in the game. He coaches more of a NBA style instead of a high school or college style. Those little quick changes, the little gimmicky things to get you back in the game. Sometimes that works a lot in high school, college, and stuff like that. It doesn't always work in the NBA. So that's why you might not see him make a change to Deuce like that and go to a 10-man rotation. It would be nice if he did. I'm not going to argue, but 9-man rotation is what it is. Okay. So tonight, I don't see anybody on injury report for the Knicks today. Let me just double check. I don't think the Knicks have anybody on the injury report tonight. No, they don't. So there's nobody on their regular rotation in the injury report. They're in good health. I'm looking for an improved defensive effort tonight. It's been a minute since the Knicks actually held somebody under 90 points. I mean, have they done it this year at all? I'm just looking here. Under 100 even, forget it. But under 90, they held Dallas on December 3rd when they didn't. They lost that game. Gave a 121. They held Charlotte to 102. They held Atlanta on December 7th to 89. They held Chicago on December 16th to 91. That was during the 8-game winning streak. What's interesting? During the 8-game winning streak, I ain't hear from certain people. Then all of a sudden they lose a game, and all these people that I ain't heard from start commenting about how they tired of the Knicks. Some of y'all just tired, period. But anyway, yeah, and then they held Phoenix to 83 points. They held Houston to 88 points. So they have done it, but just haven't done it recently. They held Orlando in February 7th to 98 points. I'm looking for them to hold somebody under 100, at least under 100. They haven't done it. They haven't done it in a minute. Even in the 3-game winning streak, it was 108, 107, and 110. Okay. I like to see them get back to holding somebody under 100 points. I guess that's what I'm saying. Okay. I'd like to see them do that. Key is Mitch Rob, Grimes, and you really need Hart out there, to me, if you're not going to have Deuce. So if you could get me a Grimes, a Hart, and a Mitch Rob, that'd be good. But generally speaking, Hart comes in for Grimes. So I don't know what we're going to do. I mean, really, without the Deuce, Grimes, Mitch Rob triumvirate, or the Hart, Grimes, Mitch Rob triumvirate, I think we're weak defensively. So we got to see. I don't know what Tom's going to do for that. We will find out. But I'd like to see them get back to holding people under 100 points. That'll be good. And tonight against Miami is a good opportunity to do that. So let's hope we can get this win. It's going to be a battle. And the fact that it's on the road and it's going to be a battle, we know the Knicks are not going to be sleeping through this game like they did against Minnesota. We're just watching Julius get 57 while Minnesota scored all over the place. So hopefully they are paying attention defensively tonight. Hopefully the ball moves a little bit and everybody gets to touch it. We don't have to have everybody get shots, but everybody should touch the basketball. Okay, that's all. And then keep everybody involved in the flow of the offense. Okay, these are key things here. So if the Knicks can do these things, and we know that Miami is also one of those places where you have just as many Knicks fans as you have Heat fans. So it's going to be nice. Then they follow up tomorrow night in Orlando, and yours truly will be at that game with my nephew and a couple of fellas. So we're going to be at that game tomorrow night. But tonight in Miami, let's see if we can get this W. That's what we got to focus on. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a war. It's going to go into the fourth quarter. We already know that. Let's get some execution down the stretch. Let's get some defense. Let's let this be. I would like to see in the fourth quarter, 91-89, something like that, going into the fourth quarter. That would be something that we want to see. So let's get some defensive effort today, and hopefully the Knicks can get a W. We'll talk about it later. Y'all enjoy your Wednesday. Shalom.